Landman. Season 2, Episode 6 doesn't just raise the stakes, it flips the entire board. Decisions are made that can't be taken back. Lines are crossed that were never meant to be crossed, and by the end of this episode, nothing feels safe anymore. What makes it even more shocking is that the biggest threat doesn't come from explosions or accidents, but from quiet conversations, legal pressure, and power-shifting hands right in front of us. Fans didn't expect this episode to go this hard, but once it starts, there's no way to look away. Section 1. Landman. Season 2, Episode 6 hits so hard because it shows how fast control can disappear, even when you think you've already survived the worst. For the Norris family, this episode feels like the moment when everything they were barely holding together finally starts to crack under real pressure. Cammy believed she had already walked through the fire. After the offshore blowout, the insurance chaos, and Monty's death, she truly thought the nightmare had peaked. She thought the damage was contained, the fallout handled, and the future, while difficult, at least predictable. Episode 6 proves how wrong that belief was. What begins as another tense corporate problem quickly turns into a life-altering threat, one that brings legal danger, financial ruin, and personal betrayal crashing together all at once. The real turning point comes when the deadline hits. A brutal 45-day clock is suddenly ticking to re-drill the Louisiana well. And this isn't just about money anymore. This is about criminal exposure, government oversight, and the very real possibility that the company Monty built could collapse in the ugliest way possible. The pressure is relentless, and the meeting that follows makes it clear that no one is safe from the consequences. Cammy walks in thinking there's still a safety net, believing the $400 million settlement is waiting in the background as a last resort. What she learns instead is devastating. That money was never truly there. It had been moved, divided, and buried inside Monty's separate corporate structure, scattered across private equity investments that can't be untangled quickly or cheaply. The realization hits hard because it means time is something they no longer have, and money is something they can't reach. What makes this moment even more powerful is how brutally honest the lawyers are. There's no comfort, no sugarcoating, no attempt to soften the truth. They lay it out clearly so Cammy understands exactly how bad things are. The only clean solution, at least on paper, is bankruptcy. MTEX might survive as a legal entity, but everything Monty poured his life into would be stripped down, reshaped, and handed over to courts and insurance companies. For Cammy, this isn't just a business decision. It feels like losing Monty all over again. Declaring bankruptcy would mean erasing his legacy, reducing his life's work to paperwork and settlements. That emotional weight is what makes her reaction so intense and so final. Before she can make a decision, Tommy steps in, and this is where the episode really starts to show its teeth. Tommy doesn't speak emotionally. He speaks from experience, from scars no one else can see. He tells Cammy the truth about the cartel-linked mineral rights, about negotiations that nearly got him killed, and about how Galino entered the picture when everything was already falling apart. He explains how accepting Galino's loan would look from the outside, especially to federal investigators. Leasing minerals might be forgivable, but a $400 million loan tied to cartel money would paint them as the engine of a massive money laundering operation. To Tommy, that risk isn't bold or strategic. It's suicidal. He knows exactly how fast the FBI closes in once that line is crossed. But Cammy isn't thinking like Tommy anymore. This is the moment where the power dynamic shifts completely. To her, bankruptcy is not an option. It's not a negotiation point or a fallback plan. It's unacceptable. She draws a hard line and refuses to move it. She makes it clear that she will not lose the company her husband started in their garage just weeks after taking control. She won't let insurance companies dismantle Monty's legacy piece by piece. And then she delivers the words that cut Tommy deeper than any legal threat ever could. She tells him that from now on, she will not be summoned to meetings. Meetings will come to her. That single statement changes everything. It's the clearest sign yet that Cammy is no longer operating as a grieving widow leaning on Tommy's guidance. She is the boss now, fully aware of her authority and completely unwilling to be directed. Tommy, who once stood at the center of every decision, suddenly finds himself pushed to the edge. And the timing couldn't be worse, because Galino is watching all of this unfold with disturbing calm. Galino doesn't argue. He doesn't threaten. He does. What makes Landman Season 2, Episode 6 feel so brutal is how personal the fallout becomes almost immediately. The consequences of Cammy's decision don't stay locked inside boardrooms or legal documents. They spill directly into Tommy's life, forcing him to experience something he's never had to face before, being completely sidelined. For the first time, Tommy isn't the fixer, the man in control, or the one everyone looks to for answers. Instead, he's standing on the outside, watching the world he helped build slowly move forward without him. And Episode 6 doesn't rush this realization. It lets it sink in, moment by moment, making it hurt even more. The rodeo scene becomes a perfect symbol of this shift. On the surface, it's supposed to be casual, even friendly, but emotionally, it's devastating. Tommy watches Cammy and Galino laugh together, talk easily, and share moments that once would have included him. There's no confrontation, no argument, no explosion. That's what makes it so painful. He's right there, yet completely invisible. Every smile between Cammy and Galino feels like another reminder that Tommy's influence is fading, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. Galino knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't rush, doesn't force anything. He simply allows distance to grow naturally, letting Tommy feel it in real time. Galino's manipulation is subtle but ruthless. While charming Cammy, he also starts planting small seeds of doubt, carefully chosen comments that make her question Tommy's judgment and motives. At the same time, he needles Tommy with remarks designed to unsettle him, especially when it comes to Cammy's trust and loyalty. It's a calculated game, and Galino is playing both sides flawlessly. Tommy can feel it happening, but calling it out would only make him look paranoid or insecure. That helplessness is what tightens the knot in his chest. He's torn between protecting Cammy from a man he doesn't trust and protecting the job and identity that define him. Episode 6 makes it painfully clear that he may not be able to do both. At the same time, the episode shifts focus to Cooper, and the contrast couldn't be sharper. Cooper truly believes he's on the verge of something huge. He thinks he's finally made it, that he's cracked the code of the oil business and stepped into real success. That fantasy doesn't even survive a single breakfast. Sitting across from his son at the Patch Cafe, Tommy doesn't raise his voice or try to soften the truth. He delivers it cleanly and without emotion, which somehow makes it even harsher. Cooper might have oil, but he doesn't have a real operation. No LLC, no accountants, no plan for debt, payroll, or long-term responsibility. Tommy cuts straight through Cooper's confidence and tells him the truth he doesn't want to hear. He thinks he understands the business, but he doesn't. Tommy then breaks down Cooper's deal with Galino piece by piece, exposing just how perfectly it was designed to benefit only one side. On paper, it looks impressive. Big numbers, big promises, the kind of deal that makes a young man feel untouchable. But in reality, Cooper was never going to see the money he thought was coming. Watching the realization hit him is one of the quietest yet most powerful moments of the episode. You can see the excitement drain from his face as he understands how trapped he really is. There's no dramatic outburst, no denial, just the slow, crushing weight of reality settling in. What saves the situation from turning into a complete disaster is Tommy's intervention. Acting quickly, MTEX buys Cooper's leases, cancels the note, and absorbs the costs. Just like that, a total collapse is avoided. It almost feels too easy, too clean, and that's exactly why it's unsettling. The solution works for now, but Episode 6 makes it clear that this kind of fix never lasts forever. Still, credit has to be given where it's due. Tommy doesn't just clean up the mess. He tries to make sure it never happens again. Offering Cooper a job is Tommy's way of forcing him to grow up. He doesn't sell it as a dream or a shortcut. He explains the reality. A landman makes $9,000 a month plus bonus. But with the right instincts and a real understanding of the rules, that same knowledge can be worth far more. The lesson is clear. You can't bend the rules if you don't know them, and you can't break them unless you truly understand the game. Cooper doesn't look excited when he accepts the offer. He looks humbled. For the first time, reality has caught up to him. And Episode 6 makes it clear that this moment will change his life's direction permanently. As Landman, Season 2, Episode 6 pushes forward, the emotional weight only gets heavier because the consequences of earlier choices start closing in from every direction. For Tommy, the damage isn't loud or explosive. It's slow, quiet, and relentless. Every interaction with Cammy now feels different. There's distance in her voice, authority in her posture, and a clear message that she no longer needs his guidance. The man who once stood at the center of every decision is now questioning his place in a company he helped keep alive. That loss of purpose hits Tommy harder than any physical threat ever could, and Episode 6 lets that discomfort linger instead of rushing past it. Galino continues to tighten his grip without ever appearing aggressive. That's what makes him so dangerous. He never forces Cammy's hand. He simply presents himself as dependable, calm, and confident when everyone else is panicking. In moments of uncertainty, he offers certainty. In moments of chaos, he offers solutions. And slowly, that reliability becomes influence. Cammy doesn't fully trust him, but she trusts the results he brings. And in this world, that may matter more. Tommy can see exactly how this ends, but warning her now would only make him sound threatened, not protective. Episode 6 traps him in that impossible position where silence feels like surrender and speaking up feels like self-destruction. Meanwhile, the pressure building around Cooper starts to take a more personal turn. The reality of adulthood is no longer something he can delay or joke his way around. The weight of Ariana, marriage, and responsibility begins pressing down on him all at once. Spending time with Ariana's baby shakes him in ways he didn't expect. It forces him to confront a future that includes being a provider, a partner, and a father figure, all at the same time. For someone who has always learned by chasing the next thrill, this kind of responsibility feels overwhelming. Episode 6 captures that tension perfectly, showing how quickly freedom can turn into obligation. What makes Cooper's storyline hit so hard is how real it feels. There's no dramatic speech where everything suddenly makes sense. Instead, there's quiet panic, uncertainty, and the slow realization that his life is changing whether he's ready or not. He's still young, still figuring himself out, but the world isn't waiting for him to catch up. Two massive life changes are colliding at once, and there's no escape route. But this is how Cooper has always learned. He gets thrown into the fire and figures it out as he goes. Episode 6 doesn't promise that he'll succeed, but it does show that he's finally taking things seriously. Through all of this, Ariana remains steady. She doesn't pressure Cooper or demand answers he doesn't have yet. She stays by his side, offering quiet support instead of ultimatums. That stability becomes an anchor for him, something he didn't realize he needed until now. By the end of this part of the episode, you can feel their relationship solidifying. They're no longer just reacting to life. They're starting to plan it. Conversations about the future, about commitment, and even about their wedding begin to surface. It's not flashy or dramatic, but it's meaningful, and it signals real growth. Back at MTEX, the long-term consequences of Cammy's decision continue to loom. Accepting Galino's offer may have bought them time, but time comes at a cost. Every move now is being watched, weighed, and potentially judged by forces much larger than the company itself. The legal danger hasn't disappeared, it's simply been postponed. Episode 6 makes it clear that this calm is temporary, and when the pressure returns, it will hit harder than before. The sense of dread never fully leaves, even during quieter moments, because the audience knows that the foundation is no longer stable. By the time this section of the story settles, Landman's Season 2 Episode